Benedict. Hello there, very good evening and welcome to another edition of Face to Face. Our usual MO would be politics and of course something that's quite fast paced and to the times. Of course, in the noise of all of that, we kind of forget at times what is really important for Sri Lanka moving forward, for our country to have a better future, and that, of course, are the children of Sri Lanka and their education, their development, because it goes without saying that children are in fact the future of our country. So we decided to take a little bit of a break from the fast-paced politics and all the noise surrounding that that is quite readily available in Sri Lanka for the moment, and focus a little bit more on a matter that concerns children, the future of Sri Lanka, specifically early childhood development, an area of education that is quite frankly overlooked in many aspects when it comes to discussions regarding education here in Sri Lanka. And to discuss these matters and much more, of course, we've got two members from the Early Childhood Education Development Association, or the ECF. I beg your pardon, the ECEA. We've got the president, of course, Miss Hishana Martinesz, and also we've got the secretary of the association, Miss Rebecca Jayatillake. Hishana, Rebecca, a very good evening and welcome to Face to Face.
A very good evening.
Good evening.
So let's start off with a little bit of an introduction into what really early childhood education is, because I do understand that especially parents in Sri Lanka usually tend to go with the flow as far as a child's education is concerned. There are those who are very knowledgeable on how to educate children, of course, much like yourselves. But when it comes to the average parent in Sri Lanka, usually it would be, get them into preschool, get them into a good school, give them good secondary education, tertiary education, professional education, and that's the whole wrap. But when we emphasize and when we really look at the importance that is placed on different levels of education, when it comes to preschool education, there is not too much emphasis placed on that. It's just get the child to any preschool or to a good preschool. But what would be a good preschool? What is early childhood education is not really in the common parlance, if I may say, of knowledge that's available to many people in Sri Lanka. So could you give us a little bit of an introduction on what early childhood development really is?
Yes, well, early childhood education is the most important, the vital area, because again, it is the foundation.
Okay.
And it is the most important years in a human life, I would say. That is because all the foundation is being laid at early years. So whatever we learn, we teach children is the basis of the foundation for their lifelong learning. So then as early as teachers and as parents, adults overall, I would say, need to have an understanding of early years, because the adult today we see is a product of what is being laid at the initial stages, which is the early years. So that is how important early years is. Because for us to see, because early years education is all about skill development. You need to have this right skills in order to learn. So that is why it's called preschool, before school. So informal learning takes place. So it's skill building and also personality development, because who you are going to be in the future is determined by how you've been raised and the skills that you are going to apply in your later learnings.
So Hishana, are you telling me that the way I think, the way I process information, the way I hold myself up, or any person for that matter, is completely based on, or based to a larger extent, on how they receive their early childhood education? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
If we take a percentage, like how much of a percentage would early childhood education contribute to a person's way of thinking, way of processing, technically speaking, final determination whether they would be a productive citizen or a criminal at the end of their life.
Yes, so early years itself, yeah, a child's brain is developing.
So what age group are we looking at here?
We are looking at early years is from birth to 8 years. In Sri Lanka, we consider this up to 5 years. So early years age group is defined differently based on the context, but generally we talk about from birth to 5 years, because our early years is categorized like that, and 2 to 5 we start sending children to early years centers. So this is a critical age category, because again you asked me how much of percentage, because early years brain development takes place for 90% at the early years, right? So that's how important early years, foundation level skill development, personality development, all of that is so important at this stage. So we determine like how this individual is going to decision making, thinking skills, all of those things is at the beginning. So how we train these children, how their skills are being developed. So because it is a growing brain that we are dealing with, so we cannot make any errors in the early years.
So I'd like to move our attention to Rebecca now. Speaking of early childhood education, we know it goes without saying that parents have a massive role to play in early childhood education, because like you said, from 2 to 5 years is when you enroll a child in preschool. 1 to 2 years, parents are the only teachers, for that matter. So speaking about those who specialize in early childhood education, especially here in Sri Lanka, what are the qualities, of course, that you look in a person who would want to get into maybe early childhood education, and what is the standard like in Sri Lanka at the moment?
Very interesting question. So you also touched a little bit about parents. I would say when it comes to teachers, we say teachers, facilitators. Early childhood is actually, it starts from, we need to be careful from prenatal times, because that is very important, which we don't think much. The mentality of the mother, the mentality of the father, it carries a long way. And also, if we talk a little bit about parenting, the key to perfect parenting would be to understand that there is no perfect parenting. It might be the first time, you will make a lot of mistakes, but it's a relationship. So when an educator, let's say a young lady wants to come into the field of education towards preschool, yes, diploma, degree, but mainly it's, I believe, it's purpose, passion, and patience. And you need to come into the field of education for the proper reasons. You have to have the passion to mold the future generation. This is interesting because we are in the current world, but we are molding people for the future, a future that we don't know. So mainly it's passion, and you need to come for the right reasons to mold the future.
But speaking of, again, the standard of early childhood education in Sri Lanka, of course, there are many factors that contribute to the standard of early childhood education. It's not just the facilitators, it's also the facilities that are provided, of course, the remuneration is also part of that entire equation. Then, of course, the importance placed on it by not only the government, but also by the general public as a whole, to kind of, give more prominence to early childhood education. So taking into consideration all of these factors, Sri Lanka, where does it rank Southeast Asia in the world? What's the standard like?
We have a lot to improve. I wouldn't give us a rank, but we have a lot to improve. It's not only about the infrastructure. Sometimes when we come into certain discussions as such, a lot of educators might talk about the syllabus, about the content, about the infrastructure. But it's not about the syllabus and the infrastructure. It's our relationship that we put into it. When it comes to teaching, there are a lot of methodologies, ideologies. People would say Suggestopedia, audio method, lingual method, whatever. It's the student comes first, and it's our relationship. So we have a lot to improve. One example would be if we ask a teacher, they would say, okay, our school, we don't have this facility, we don't have that facility. Facilities are needed, yes. We don't have AMI material, we don't have hands-on material. But a very poor household, sometimes those children are developing their skills compared to a lot of children with all the facilities. Why? Because one mother might not want a messy kitchen, whereas another mother is okay with a messy kitchen. What did we do when we were small? We had to play with the coconut shavings, cut the carrots, you know, we played with material. And we need to allow children to explore, including parents and teachers. I think we had a small discussion previously about helicopter parenting. So when I say we need to improve a lot, the teachers need to have the passion to communicate and to connect with the children. It's not only about the material. You bring children here, we don't have any Montessori type of material here, but still we should be able to do a practical, productive lesson if you are the right person.
So, Rebecca, would I be correct if I say that it's all about the personal connection that you build with the child, meaning the kind of method that you employ would differ widely from child to child, even to a point where maybe you can't teach two children the same way at all. So that's the kind of standard that that you're looking at as an early childhood education facilitator, like you said. Now, Hishana, we were speaking about the importance placed on early childhood education. We see the Sri Lankan government also moving towards education reforms, much needed. For as long as I can remember, now even when I was schooling, we had the same syllabus or similar education system that was in place maybe 10 years before we came to that grade. I don't know what the situation is like now, but reforms are coming, much needed reforms in that. So how has the focus been on early childhood education as far as reforms in the education system in Sri Lanka are concerned?
Yes, good question. Very interesting indeed. So I'm really happy that a lot of attention is now being given for early years education in Sri Lanka, and there are frameworks. So we have the Early Childhood Education Authority taking in charge of all of these schools. So even any school needs to be registered under the Early Childhood Education Authority, so which is good. And then they have the officials coming and visiting, inspection. There is a criteria that they see to. So slowly we are getting into a certain level. So I'm really happy to see that with my past experience in this field, I've seen how nursery schools are improving, and also when it comes to curriculum methods, I could see as early years being in this field that there are a lot of changes taking place for the benefit of the child. And when Rebecca was telling about the materials and infrastructure, when you asked previously, when for to teach, actually we don't need so many things. Give us a tree, we'll sit under the tree and teach. Right? That is the connection. And during times of when we had the pandemic times, we didn't have a school, we didn't have a classroom, but we still taught. So that is how we build the relationship, the connection, and maintaining it. And also educating parents, because early years education, unlike the other types of education, like take a ordinary school, a mainstream school, early years is all about, again, skill development. You give thinking skills, reasoning out skills, problem solving, everything takes place at the very small age. So then you allow the children to manipulate with material things, simple things that is available in the household. Simple things like, getting up and, maybe using the washroom, greeting your parents in the morning. It starts there. So you don't necessarily need a lot of things, because teaching early years is something wonderful, and it's so interesting because you can teach them with very little things. So that way we allow the children to manipulate with materials, understanding the nature and the world around us. So that allows the child to explore and learn, to be inquisitive, to be curious learners. That is what we need in the formal school.
So, Hishana, how important is it to formalize or to regulate early childhood education and have sort of, standard operating procedures or guidelines? How important is it to put these things in place?
Yes, because when we standardize and we streamline and have the processes in place so that we ensure our standards are maintained. So we set a benchmark and we have to ensure that it happens, especially when it comes to teachers. The teacher is the main person there. It's not the name of the school, because ideally if you ask a parent, they would say, go to so and so teacher. When we were small, we had certain names, and they say that teacher is the best teacher, right? So in terms of having these standards and the SOPs, of course, streamlining it is very important. So you have the consistency. Anything, if you maintain the consistency, that's important, because you will not deviate from that. You will not go below that. You'll only see how you can reach further. And it's important that we educate our educators to be updated with the latest trends, latest research, methodologies, pedagogy. It's very important, so that we uplift and we help our educators to elevate themselves. Then naturally the early childhood education itself would be elevated.
But now, Rebecca, just like Hishana said, it's important to formalize it, to regularize it. How far formalized is it in Sri Lanka? How far regularized is it in Sri Lanka right now?
It is to a certain extent, mainly in the urban areas. But because we are talking about preschools, commonly known as Montessori's, there are a lot of Montessori's where sometimes people would say in colloquial words, "Kadawage arala Montessori's," but
so they don't fall under the ambit of the entire regulation.
Not really.
And the regulation isn't really centralized. I mean, it's not just one standard for the entire country. It's more regional.
No. And that's where we have a passion to reach out to those particular Montessori's, the stereotypically tagged as Kadawage Montessori's, because this so-called Kade is open for some sort of a reason, and there are, for whatever the reason, there are children there, and we, from our association, we want to reach out to those Montessori's, those teachers, so that every child who goes into a building known as a Montessori or a preschool will come out with proper education. And these teachers will also know what to teach them and how to teach them. More than what to teach them, it's actually how to teach them, so that they will learn how to learn. They will learn to explore the surrounding, explore the world, specifically with AI and NI coming with a lot of competition there between the intelligences. So these Montessori's is what we want to focus, the Montessori's are where we want to focus on. And it's a small island, but there is a lot more to reach out.
So speaking about your association, Early Childhood Educators Association, of course, like you explained, your mandate is to reach out and make sure that all children get proper early childhood education. How old is your association, and what is the membership like? What's the process of applying for membership? If you could give that information out, I'm pretty sure there might be some of our viewers who might find that information useful for sure.
Yes, our association is 2 years old now. We are having the second summit, and I would like to give our Madam President to answer the rest of the question.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So our association was founded last year, and our purpose was to, as Rebecca said, to help or to support and empower young educators emerging educators, experienced educators, and to help them on, or rather to support them in being the best early childhood educator. To do that, we need to upgrade and update them with information, knowledge sharing, because there's a lot of things that we also can learn from them. So this is a platform where we share knowledge. So through the association, we do workshops, training, seminars, webinars, and also we want to make this platform for early years educators, for them to shine, in the sense for them also to be resource people, because there's a lot that we can learn from them as well. So it's an exchange of ideas, and then collaboration. It's very important, because it's education is ever evolving, right? You get new techniques, new ways. Now, we never knew how to teach on an online platform when it came to preschool. I was not a person who was who even agreed initially, but then we learned that we have to keep it going. So we taught the parents how to teach the children, because you need to keep the children connected, engaged, because we need to ensure that these little ones would go to a formal school and would be able to learn things in the formal school. So our association helps or supports rather the educators. So we are very happy to invite all educators to join with us, because there are a lot of things, workshops, seminars, webinars, as I told before, taking place, which is for the benefit of the teachers. So how you can be a part of the association is that we have membership renewals yearly, and it's an individual membership. So if anyone out there is interested to be a part of it, so they can reach out to us, to the Early Childhood Educators Association. And then we will, it's a very simple form they need to fill.
Do you have a presence online, or how can
Yes, we do have our social media pages. They can reach to us, Early Childhood Educators Association Sri Lanka, and then we would definitely reach out to them. And it's a very simple process. We just get their details and their school, and there is of course a small membership fee involved, because we need to run the association. It's a very small annual fee, and but most of the investment to this, the benefits are far beyond. Because most of them, we get international speakers as well to educate, especially on child protection, caring for toddlers, infants, and how to protect children in early childhood care settings. You have daycare centers. How do we run them? We have a lot. And then how do we protect our children? So child protection is one of the most important areas that I'm very keen on learning, and I also deliver lectures on that area. So therefore we need to educate our teachers, caregivers, on how to protect our children. Very important.
According to your definition, caregivers also fall into the category of facilitators for early childhood education. And of course, Hishana, your association is having a flagship event, a summit planned.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure if you could
give
a little more details on that.
Yes, we are very excited to announce our annual summit, which is taking place for the second time this year. And last year we had this summit, we had over 300 participants at our summit. And last year all the 300 participants received a free membership for our association, and they are involved in all of our activities. So this time also we are having, it's happening on the 11th of September from 2:30 onwards at the BMICH. So this time we have a theme, so it's reimagining early years education through impact, innovation. So that's our theme for this year, and intentionality. So based on that, we have renowned keynote speakers who would give their knowledge, expertise on different areas of early childhood education. And we are very excited for this event, because it's I would say it's the Sri Lanka's only event specially dedicated exclusively for early years educators.
So as far as signing up for this event, is it only limited to members? If someone is interested in signing up with this event and attending it, what's the procedure like?
Yes, so we have registration link and we have shared it in our social media pages of Early Childhood Educators Association. Anyone who is interested in early years, it could be a teacher, of course, for the members, non-members, any early childhood educator, or anyone for that matter who is interested in early years education.
It could even be a parent who has
it could be a parent,
toddler.
it could be a policy maker, a school administrator, anyone who is keen and interested in early years education, because this is exclusively, the area is specially dedicated for early years, because early years education is a specialized area, unlike the other levels of education. So we at this forum we give them the updated information from renowned speakers. So it's a lot of learning and most importantly networking, because see, a lot of teachers, when you take a school, we only know the teachers. So your net worth is your network. So to build the network, you need to get to know people. So we need to create a platform where teachers meet other professionals and other teachers from other schools, where that is where we exchange ideas, knowledge, and a chance to collaborate. Maybe my students from my school can come to your school. We could do something together. That way children also learn how to sort of mingle with others, interact and exchange ideas. That experience is important for children.
Yeah, and to add something, when it comes to the association, she spoke a lot about the methodology, information, training sessions, pedagogy, all that. We also take care of the teachers.
Of course.
We recently we had an event. We named it as EDUs. So education means mainly educate, to draw out. EDUs, to draw out. A teacher can't pour from an empty cup. Whereas, we train, they need to teach, facilitate, so on and so forth. But the well-being of a teacher, so we had a retreat for the teachers, early childhood teachers, where they come, they meditated, they had yoga. We do little things like that also from the association, pottery, painting, mandala art. And it's nice because it's all people from the same field. And they share their experiences, their thoughts while they develop within as well.
So now, Hishana spoke about the fact that your net worth is your network. So as far as early childhood education facilitators in Sri Lanka are concerned, is the network more confined to urban areas, or how far has it spread across Sri Lanka? I know there are issues in transporting, of course, from far ends of the country or even certain rural areas. But how far is this network stretched? I mean, you've not had too much time to do that, of course. But how far have you managed to spread the network?
We have reached a lot of schools, mainly in Colombo. We also have a lot of international schools coming in. But like I told you before, we want to reach out to the schools that actually need a lot of help, where we can mentor them. And another area that we also want to focus upon is, I always keep repeating the right reasons to come for early childhood teaching. So let's say when a young lady comes into the field, some of them come to gain experience.
Is it only limited to young ladies though?
In Sri Lanka, it's a very good question. It's a question that I've been dealing with. In Sri Lanka, it is. But we do need men coming too, because we are, training children for the future, right? But
of course, the majority are
majority,
ladies.
yes. And
I think almost
pre-primary,
in
primary,
early years
education,
yes,
it's ladies.
Ladies.
Yeah. So when a young lady comes into the field, sadly, for pre-primary, they come to gain experience so that they can move on to the formal education system. They move on to grade 1. Now, the irony is that sort of promotion from preschool to grade 1 to 2, 2 to 3, that promotion is for students, not for teachers.
It's not really a promotion for teachers.
Yes, but stereotypically, a lot of educators have that ideology where, okay, now I'm a grade 1 teacher. Later on, I want to go to the middle school. That's a promotion. But we should understand, or we need to change the concept, the system, the stereotype thought of a professor for early childhood education can sit in a classroom of a pre-primary school and teach. Because pre-primary education is something to do with prescribing. You have a lot of context, you have a lot of method, you need to prescribe. You have a heterogeneous classroom, you prescribe. So it's not only to gain experience and go out of pre-primary, but come into the pre-primary field, gain experience, be a veteran, and help the students. Not to move on to the middle school and O-level, so on and so forth. Be a veteran in the pre-primary and help develop the future.
And then, like what was discussed previously, it's not just about teaching. It's not just about, getting children to parrot out lines in a poem or anything. It's there's a lot of psychological factors that are involved. And now, if we talk about what's happening right now, we see there are people who migrate to maybe foreign countries, and then if you look at the requirements or the areas where job opportunities are available in a lot of these foreign countries that people try to migrate to, at least early childhood education is a prominent area.
It is.
And there are people who specifically follow several courses here in Sri Lanka, maybe internationally. So that's the importance that the world has placed in early childhood education. But does early childhood education in Sri Lanka get that kind of prominence, or could we do much better?
See, that's what I said. They come for pre-primary and they want to go to grade 1, 2, 3 and 4 or migrate. I was not thinking about beyond the island because we have a lot of passion within the island. So they come to gain experience because they want to either migrate or get their promotion. But if that ideology or the concept changes, then these young ladies will have more reason to stay. So yes, passion is needed, purpose is needed, but also, like I said, you can't pour from an empty cup, which means you need to develop personally, from payments to other benefits. For early childhood education, for a teacher to have the passion to join the field, to make it a trend, there are other areas we need to work upon.
And early childhood education is not an area that's, as far as the free education system in Sri Lanka is concerned, it doesn't really fall under the free education ambit, does it? Like you get, free education from grade 1 to grade 13, but you don't get free preschool. That's entirely the private sector, correct?
There are actually a few preschools are there run by the government. There are. So, but most of them are private schools.
Well, I'd say at least 90% would be private.
Maybe so. I'm not very accurate about the figure. However, there are preschools funded, and there are other preschools funded by other voluntary organizations as well. So, no matter what the preschool is, of course, again, the standardization I would like to emphasize here, so that there should be, I think we are working on it. The government is working on it. I mean, I'm happy that there is a method that they inspect the schools and they ensure that they are registered.
Is there a syllabus? Is there any guidelines?
Yes, there is a framework. Sri Lanka has a framework for early years education. But however, when you take private nurseries, they do different curricula. The curricula is changed from school to school. So that's various. But we need to educate our facilitators on what is suitable for us in our local context. So if you are, because for example, there are schools that I have visited, they teach a lot of things that are actually practically done abroad, in the European context. But what I see is that our children are here in Sri Lanka, and we have a lot more that we can teach with the resources that we have around. So we need to inculcate that learning, that teaching, so that our learning outcomes are great. So that is where the facilitator or the teacher needs to know how to pick and choose and accommodate this learning. Because you have different curriculum. You can easily now even download a curriculum from the internet, and you can do that. But you need to ensure that you know what you are giving to the children. So again, that's why standardization is so important. We do have a framework, but not all schools know about this, and not all schools follow. So through the association, we are very happy, and we are, in a way, we have got this privilege to educate our educators, that Sri Lanka has framework. So we can use that. You can get support from the national authorities to help. Also, through the association, we teach teachers how to look for these resources and establish their school, because early years again is not about learning to write and memorize and do rote learning. It is skill development. I'll give you one example. Okay, so you want your child to write well. All parents want that, and teachers in the upper school expect children to write really well. So most preschools I have seen, so they give copywriting, they give writing, at a small age. And they complain, saying that the child is not writing properly. Formation is not great. They erase, do it again. Erase, do it again. So what we really need to do is see what are the skills needed for writing. You can't just write, give a pencil, a crayon, and ask a child to write on dotted lines, tracing. Those are important. But what is important is that the motor skills, your posture, your elbow, your flexible wrist movement, hand and eye coordination, thinking skills, letter formation, for example. So you want to write the word cat, so you write the letter C, and then you write letter A, and you write the letter T. So C and A would be the same size, but the T would be, you have to put the pencil up there, right? So the child needs to understand the measurement, length, breadth, size of the letter. This is a process in the brain, right? So we need to allow the child to understand that these three figures or the letters are different and the sizes are different. So how is the child going to manipulate that? It's not only that, it's the hand and eye coordination. So those are skills, the motor skills, the fine motor, the gross motor. You need pressure to write. Okay, you need to know where to write. So this is a process. So you can't just give paper, pencil and get the child to write. So that is why early years categorize. 2 years what you teach, 3 years what not to teach, 4 years what to expect. So if you don't know that, you are going to miss the entire brain wiring. So then that's why at early years you cannot make errors, because we're dealing with developing brains. So it's like the potter with the clay. You mold the wrong way and it's going to create a greater impact later years. So the children will learn to write through this rote learning, not through their cognition or not through that process. So they would copyright, they would do that, but not through the knowledge. So that is where skill development is so important. So early years teachers need to know that at early years we don't teach. What do we do then? We train skills. That is important.
And writing is the formations. A huge error or a mistake that a lot of teachers make nowadays is they try to teach a font. So when you say T, it should be 3/4 T. The tail of the T should go to that side, or number 9 should be straight or slanted. Straight or slanted, or who cares if the formation is correct and the child can identify number 9. But a lot of teachers go behind fonts.
That is because of how we have trained our teachers. We are not updated with the latest pedagogy or the trend or the methodology. Because we need to understand how the child's brain works. These are brain wirings, right? So we cannot meddle with that. And the child would write only when the child is ready to write. There's no forcing. And again, speech. Children should be able to speak freely. Because you see, a lot of the time they have been taught, you say 5 sentences, memorize this. But then we are blocking the child's thinking, the creativity, the imagination, because children love imagination. They are living in an imagination, the whole imaginary world. So you need to allow free speech. So that is where they start developing their speaking skills, creativity, thinking, and all of that. So that is where we need to educate our educators what to teach and what not to teach. Typically, I would say not teach, but to train on skills. We are molding children not only for reading, writing, but also personality. their thinking skills, decision making, problem solving, so on and so forth.
Thank you very much, Hishana Martinez, and of course, Rebecca Jayatillake from the Early Childhood Educators Association. And of course, they're having their Early Childhood Educators Summit
Yes.
on the 11th of September. So be sure to check out that interesting event for early childhood educators. Not only for early childhood educators, but anyone who is interested in learning about early childhood education. Could be parents, could be anyone interested. Maybe even grandparents.
Yes.
You can find them on social media, you can find them on the web, and reach out to them to sign up for that event, and also sign up for the association if you think that is what you want to do. Thank you very much once again, ladies, for joining us and speaking to us on this very, very important matter that concerns the future generations of Sri Lanka. We can see where Sri Lanka has come to after having free education and whatever the education system that we have. And of course, as a country, as a people, as human beings, we always try and aspire to be better. And of course, aspiring to be better starts with early childhood education. And if, just like Hishana said, if we get that right, then everything else will fall in place. Thank you very much to all our viewers for tuning in to another episode of Face to Face. Until we meet again, take care. And God bless.
Newsfirst, face to face with Shah.